Yesterday, we had the entire industry caught off guard with a big announcement from MSC Cruises, and today we're going to be diving in all about the brand new Frontiers project coming from MSC Cruises. Welcome back to another video, or welcome if you're new to the channel. My name is Brandon. If you're a cruise nerd just like I am and you like live streams of ship departures from port, or if you like cruise news, even some ship tours or cruise vlogs, you're in the right place. So if you're a cruise nerd, go ahead and subscribe down below. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. As mentioned yesterday, MSC shook up the entire cruise industry with the announcement of their Project New Frontiers. Not only is this not the one that we expected, but for a Monday morning, we definitely weren't thinking we were going to get an entirely new class of ship. This also follows not too long after, not only did we get orders for a 5th and 6th ship in the World Class, but we also got 7 and 8 out of the World Class recently too. All of this has happened within the last maybe 3 months. And now we just got another 4 more ships coming from MSC Cruises in a brand new ship class that we didn't expect. A lot of us, including myself, were expecting a Constellation class, or the rumored quote-unquote Constellation class from MSC Cruises. If you're not familiar with that term, the Constellation class is the current rumored project from MSC that was expected to be larger than Icon of the Seas, which would make it the largest cruise ship in the world. We don't know where that project lies. Is it now a scrapped project? Are they going to build them simultaneously? Where is that one? We don't know. But what we do know is that MSC Cruises has signed a long-term agreement with Meyer Papenburg over in Germany for a brand new class of ship codenamed New Frontiers. This new class of ship will consist of 4 ships, at least as of right now. There is an option for 5 and 6. And given the rapid expansion of MSC Cruises over the last 10 years, I can only expect those options to be executed at some point. Probably not today, probably not next year, but probably within the next 2 to 3 years before we even see the first one would be where I'd put my guess. So given that this isn't the one that we expected, and it being a smaller class ship, let's dive into what we know about this ship as well when it comes to specs. This ship is set to be about 180,000 tons, so similar in size to the MSC Grandiosa and those Meraviglia Plus class of ships. Now, these are not MSC Meraviglia Plus ships, so this is not going to be anything like we see with the Grandiosa, Virtuosa, or Euribia. And this is also not going to be anything like the World Class that we see either with the World America and World Europa and all the ones coming soon. This is a brand new design. This isn't a plus size. This isn't a stretch. This isn't a World Class. This isn't anything like we've seen before. This new class of ship is likely going to bring in new technologies that we've never seen before and really usher in the era of the 2030s for the cruise industry with some of the technologies we could eventually see. But in comparison to the size of their fleet, this is much, much larger than what we see with their older ships like the Lyrica, but in comparison to, say, the Seaside or the Seaside Evo class of ships, so Seaside is about 150,000 tons, Seaside Evo class are about 170,000 tons with the MSC Seashore, but then we see the MSC Grandiosa at 180,000 tons. So tonnage-wise, they will be similar, but again, a completely new design, completely new technologies, completely new everything. This is nothing like anything we've ever seen before from not only MSC, but the entire cruise industry. And with that in mind, as mentioned before, these are not the Constellation class or the rumored Constellation class. So this is not designed to be chasing the world's largest cruise ship title like those ones would be, but this is more just scaling back a little and offering more guest comfort, larger ship, but reduced capacity. In comparison to the MSC Grandiosa, we're likely going to see anywhere between 500 to 1,000 guests less than what we see on those Meraviglia Plus ships, despite being the same size. This is similar to what we saw with the Prima class from Norwegian Cruise Line several years ago, and still continuing on, as those ships reduced the capacity of their ships and also reduced in size, although these are much larger in scale, but Norwegian reduced the size of the ships by a significant margin, but they also reduced the guest capacity to decrease that guest to crew ratio. But not only are these expected to innovate when it comes to the guest experience, but these are also set to innovate when it comes to just ship technology, when it comes to fuel, just overall efficiency, and even adaptability. These ships are likely being built a little bit smaller, that way they can fit them into smaller ports, although still 180,000 tons is quite large for even some of the smaller areas that a lot of ships can't get into nowadays. But they can at least get into certain regions that these 200,000 ton megaships can't get into, regardless of how hard you try. Now, when it comes to efficiency, these likely are going to be on alternative fuels. They can probably run off of marine diesel just like every other cruise ship can, but these likely will have some sort of natural gas, even some technologies when it comes to methanol. There are several new ships. The Celebrity XL, I believe, could run off of methanol if they wanted to use that fuel type. So there's new technologies and new different types of fuels, and MSC's goal is to go net zero emissions by the year of 2050. So we could start seeing that really big push here in the early 2030s with this brand new class of ship. The adaptability will also kind of favor into those fuel types, as the biggest issue with liquefied natural gas right now, as those ships continue to come out, is that not every port within the US or even the world has access to that. Of course, it is now becoming more and more available, but it has taken us several years to get there. With this, if they use different types of alternative fuels and even just multi-fuel types like a tri-fuel or anything like that, that technology is available to where they can use that different types of fuel depending on what they need or what is available. And so if that's the case, this would give them more access to go wherever they needed, whether it be Northern Europe, Mediterranean, United States, over into Asia, or maybe even they dip into Australia for the first time, who knows? But this would give them availability to go basically wherever they wanted to kind of explore these new frontiers for MSC Cruises, which I think is, again, probably why we're seeing this code name New Frontiers, as I think this project is really set for MSC to set off into new frontiers. So these ships are set to pretty much sit alongside not only the World Class, but likely the Mega Ship Class to follow the World Class into the mid to early 2030s. As the MSC World Class, despite coming out right now, is set to wrap up with the last 8th ship in class, is going to come out in the early 2030s. So we'll likely see the successor to those, likely in the early to mid 2030s as well, whatever it may be. Now, with any order of any new cruise ship, there's a lot of uncertainties, a lot of unknowns still. I do think that we might get some pretty early news with this class of ship, as that's what they did with the MSC World Class, is that all the way back, and I believe it was 2016, is when they first placed that order, and we got renders not too long after with the MSC World Europa renders, and that ship didn't come out until 2022. Between the order being placed of the World Class originally back in, I believe, 2016 or 2017, it took us all the way until 2022 to finally see that ship come to life. Although this is going to have a much, much quicker turnaround, as we're seeing this now, and we're likely going to see this ship now in the next 4 years almost. So it's not even going to be that long until we see these ships start to come under construction, as with a 2030 deadline, we're likely going to see the construction start as late as 2028. But with the World Class all the way back when they originally ordered them, it didn't take them very long to show off our first renders of the ship. So although we don't have any renders as of right now, I think we might get those relatively soon. As of when, I'm not sure, probably early to mid 2026, I would say, but that's always up to MSC. But given their past experience and what they've done in the past with the World Class, I think we'll get these relatively soon, but of course just not today. So ship names are long, long into the future. Again, we probably won't see those for another 2 to 3 years until the first ship comes into construction. And the same goes with home ports, itineraries, and all sorts of things like that. There's still a lot that we won't know for several years, but at least when it comes to a render, we may not have that today, but I do think we might get that within the next 6 to 12 months. And when it comes to brand new ships, I do want to briefly touch on the MSC World Asia is the next ship out for MSC Cruises. That ship just touched water for the very first time several weeks ago, so she's had her float out ceremony. She's now due out within 12 months of this video being recorded, so she is coming to the near end of her construction, so she'll be making her big debut late next year. And bookings now just opened for the MSC World Atlantic. I actually am going to be on the maiden voyage. I'm very, very excited to bring you guys along for that. But we have 2 really, really exciting ships still to come to wait for until we start getting not only the next round of the MSC World Class, but now New Frontier. Let me know what your thoughts are on this brand new class of ship. What are your hopes and what do you think we might see? And what do you want to see from these new class of ships? As only time will tell what we get here from MSC Cruises. And do you still think that we're going to see these rumored icon-sized ships? Or do you think now those are in the distant past now that we see new frontiers? What are your thoughts? Let me know all of that down below in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, my name is Brandon. If you're a cruise nerd like I am, you like cruise news videos like this, you like live streams of the ships leaving Port Canaveral or any other Florida port, or if you like cruise vlogs or ship tours, you're in the right place. Go ahead and subscribe down below. And with that, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.